of our applicants and their advisors and consultants under continuing rules and regulations from the Commonwealth that permit us to operate this way. This means that we will be recording on Zoom, and if you choose to have your camera on, whatever's in your camera will be recorded. It also means that we will conduct all our votes by roll call, and that we have a chat function, but please don't use it for anything substantive, just technical questions if you have any. The chat function does not become part of our permanent record. And with that, I think I'll call the roll and we'll get underway. First and foremost, our newly minted Conservation Commissioner, Jim Hoffman, is here.
Thank you.
Say good evening, everyone.
Welcome, Jim.
And you'll get a chance tonight, if you haven't already, to meet Dr. Olga Hayes.
Here.
Mr. David Lumsden.
Here.
Dr. Gordon Turner.
Here.
And a surprise visit. We're very glad to welcome Dr. Jeffrey Bodmer Turner.
Hi, here.
Welcome
This is
back.
a guest visit. I'm not sure we're going to be able to stay the whole meeting.
Right. Well, do what you can. Don't stress it. And we have our able conservation administrator, Bethany Barstow, and also our director of land management. I think that's still your title, Mark. Mark Resnick. Let's see. Did I miss anything? Any other announcements? All right, then, let's plunge in. We have a number of new NOI applications, as well as some overdue orders of condition to issue. So we will start with he said, fumbling for the agenda, 44 Norwood Avenue, Manchester, Mass DEP file number 39 dash, do we have a
They
DEP
got
number?
one. I made this before they issued the agenda before they issued, but it's 0937.
Great, 39-0937, map 50, lot 21. And this is a new notice of intent, so we will stipulate that the required notifications and publications have taken place in local media, and abutters have been notified with copies to the commission. This is proposed remediation of the building of a single-family building's foundation and construction of additions with associated activities around the grounds. The work is proposed within bordering land subject to flooding and the 200-foot riverfront area, and a portion of it within buffer zone to BVW. All right, who is here this evening for 44 Norwood Avenue?
Hi, Commission. Nick Stengel and
Hi, I'm Lon Morgan.
the applicants.
Welcome, folks. Thanks for coming.
Thank you.
Do you have one of your experts here as well, or can you give us a thumbnail on this project?
Yeah, I think that we're equipped to address most things. Our professional help for the delineation and some of the wetland stuff is not able to make it.
Understood. Well, why don't you give us just a bird's eye view of what's involved in this, because I know it's a multifaceted effort in close quarters, shall we say?
Yes, and
if it helps to share the screen, you can go ahead and do that. It's up to you.
Yeah, actually, I might do that while I talk.
People usually do. Go right ahead.
So, yeah, we are new homeowners to this, well, relatively new. It's coming up on a year here to 44 Norwood, and commissioners might remember that I came before you guys in March for some trees that were requested to be removed by the homeowners insurance. But we've kind of been settling in here and have had some ideas from the beginning, but have come up with some surprises in in owning the home and are looking to solve some of those problems that we've identified, and and then on top of that, some associated yard yard work. So Manchester is a pretty small town. I know a lot of you guys know Sawmill Brook very well. So I just put out this. I know this is mainly for DEP, but we're located on Sawmill, right near. We can pretty much see the elementary school from our house. The subject property spans both sides of the brook, and directly abuts the culvert that goes underneath Norwood. This is the latest FEMA map that was just based on the date released on the day that we filed this application. Most of the lot is within the FEMA floodplain, flood zone A, and I know, well, it's a long NOI, and I'm repeating everything that's there. So please, commissioners, stop me and steer the conversation wherever you want to go. I put in some deeds, and I put in a pretty healthy description of the lot and how the lot was formed, along with my neighbors. But in terms of wetlands, I think the real just thing that these old deeds show is that the brook used to be in a different location, and it is now because of when they put in that. I called it a culvert. I call it a bridge now, but the bridge on Norwood. I'm going to skip ahead to some of the pictures, just kind of. I think this photo number 1 that I made to really talk about the flood elevation that we determined really is a really good description of what we need to do on the house and the proposed project. One of the big surprises we found is that there's a 15-foot addition that was added on the west side. This whole area, the balcony and the proposed addition location, that we believe has no footing or foundation underneath some railroad size sill plates that were placed on the ground or buried underground, that have been semi-replaced or not replaced at all over the last since this addition was put in, I believe in the 40s or 50s. I don't have an exact date on it, but the impetus for the project is to put a real foundation under this back wall. Now, I've dug a couple test pits and shown that there wasn't any foundation underneath this back, right where the deck meets this window, and then right where the new addition, I'll call it new 40s, meets the old, we did find foundation. So it's somewhere in between this whole back area needing to have a foundation put under it. I know there isn't. Well, the most rotted out spot is along the driveway, where there's the beam. I stuck a vacuum all the way through it. So there needs to be a trench dug around it and a new foundation put under there. If people,
I think if I can just take a step back, one
Yeah.
of the notable things from reading what I thought was a very well constructed NOI by your wetland scientist and maybe contractor. One of the things that's notable is that most of your work is going to be within the envelope of the existing building. So the foundation work requires a little bit of construction area outside the existing building. But apart from that pink or fuchsia square you have sketched on the picture 1, the shape will remain as it is, right?
correct. Yep. And I should take a higher level. I mean, you guys have seen the plans, but obviously the entire property is almost within the 50 foot of the riverfront. All wetlands and associated resources are associated with the Sawmill Brook, and the entire site is, because of its proximity, it's regulated under you guys, but it's I mean, obviously we wouldn't want to put an addition so close to the brook if the house wasn't there already, but this is kind of in our way of minimizing and trying to only add what we find is needed. We came to this small proposed addition, which really is functioning as a entryway and stair tower for the house.
Good. So there's that, which is the kind of major piece of work. You're going to do some reconstruction, a new second floor, new roof, but
Mhm.
the additional impervious will be only that rectangle that you've sketched on the ground. And I believe also a shed out in the back where there is an existing foundation in the ground.
Correct.
Nick,
And-
could you say how high that shed is and whether it would have electricity or plumbing?
The shed, it's not proposed right now with electricity or plumbing. No. The height of it, I don't have I put in a lot of thought into the entire construction of the house, the proposed addition, and all the work needed associated with that. The shed at this point is a footprint that we would like to add to store typical yard and sports equipment that wouldn't be put or is not great right now in the current basement. And so I don't have an exact height, but given a roof pitch that's not very steep, it's not going to be more than a story and a half. It's not. I mean, we're not intending to put a steep pitched roof on it.
Thanks.
Okay, well, I don't mean to interrupt you, but are there other questions, Jim or others from the commission?
Well, I'm assuming we're going to do a site visit. So we might have questions once we do that.
Yeah, I guess that makes sense, given the number of moving parts that you're proposing here. I probably don't need the site visit because I was the next door neighbor for a couple of decades. So I'm pretty familiar with the site and how it performs under extreme flooding conditions and everything else. But it would be useful, I think, for the rest of the commission to see it, if that's acceptable to you folks, Nick.
Yeah, to that point, we kind of expected that you would like to do a site visit, and our request tonight is, if I know that there has been some time that this documentation has been spread out, and if there is concerns or questions, that we could use the intermeeting time of the site visit and your next meeting to address any of those or clarify. We would really appreciate that feedback.
Steve,
Sure. Go ahead.
this is Jeff Bodmer-Turner, I'm one of the commissioners, Nick. I'm a little confused about you're saying that the area where you want to rebuild the foundation is an existing addition, which I assume is where that entrance is in the middle of the wall at the back here.
Yeah.
And then there's a pink area that is a proposed addition, and I haven't heard you discuss that at all.
Yeah, so I call it a couple feet back from this plane that is the where the 44 Norwood looks at.
Yeah.
Couple feet back from that, this entire 15-foot, it measures 15 feet. It kind of blends in, but once you know that fact and you do the site visit,
I can see that line, and that's what I thought you were talking about concerning the addition, but then you have proposed addition. What's that mean?
So the proposed addition is to add a entryway with a stair tower that goes that gives access to all the levels of the house. The addition would be 10 by 13, and it what else can I add about the elevation of the base of it is designed to meet, well, the entire project's designed to meet the floodplain construction guidelines. So it's designed to be 2 feet above the base flood elevation, and associated with that addition is a landing outside that is also 2 feet above, that you'd have a stair set down to the yard and a stair set up to the balcony. And based on the town's bylaws or not bylaws, based on the town's regulations on mitigations proposed for all landings, stairs, decks, and the proposed addition.
Right. Yeah, I would just add that the floor plan is a little bit arbitrary, shall we say, reflecting the fact that it wasn't built as a residence in the first place, and then the addition and the second floor were somewhat haphazardly designed. So it's very much in need of some rationalization for a family to use. The prior occupants had typically been a single or just 2 people.
Okay, thank you.
Steve, I had
A site visit makes sense. Gordon, you have a question?
just a question. Is the existing deck proposed to stay there, or any changes to that as part of this?
Yeah, the deck will have to come down as part of the foundation remediation, and I have described very thoroughly the changes that will happen to it when it's put back up. But just to touch on it, the addition is going to meet the same back wall. I'll call it the shaded wall, which is the north side, and it's going to extend 13 feet towards the deck. There's still a 5-foot gap between the deck and the new addition, and that's going to be bridged over with an expanded deck and a set of stairs that goes up from the landing to the deck.
Okay.
And those stairs will be located where, Nick?
We haven't finalized that, but it's either going to come. Can you see my cursor?
I can.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. It's either going to come straight from there to the north and onto the landing, or it's going to go perpendicular to that, kind of where the grill is, down to the landing.
Okay.
And I believe you have calculations for impervious and all of that. I did see that on your, in your notice of intent. So I'm going to spend a little more time with that.
Yeah, I recommend we each do that before we visit, because as I said at the beginning, I found it very thorough and clearly written.
Yes.
And it does make clear that there's lots of individual steps in here that have to be done or are proposed to be done on the building, on the backyard, on this new shed, on the remediation sites, on a fence around the property for safety, etc.
Dave,
You might, Nick, if you have a chance, if you can just maybe put little flags where the shed's going, where the addition's going, anywhere where there might be impervious probably would be good. Which you might want to put ribbons on the trees that need to come down, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
It will make it
I can
easier
make
to
an
read.
effort to do that.
Yeah.
Sure.
Thank
That would
you.
be helpful. David, you had a question?
I think Olga may have just answered my question. And just one more, I think if I read this correctly, you're proposing 288 square feet of an addition for the shed and 342 feet for the addition to the house. Did I miss anything else that is a proposed?
Yeah, why don't I pull up the plan here? So this is sheet C1. I have our horizontal addition here, which is our 10 by 13. And then that additional square footage you reference
Is this up to
encompasses
date? This balance?
lower stairs and landing and the deck's expansion and stairs. It also includes a small 3 by 10 refuse shed here, and the rear shed.
Okay, so what's the total square footage that you're looking to add, and also calculate from my purposes, what are you planning to use for square footage and mitigation?
Yes, let's get into mitigation. Great question.
And just before we do, did I total 630 feet an addition? Or it sounds like it may be more than that.
So it's 660 is the total. And that's, there's a table on C1 called proposed riverfront alterations. It's 130 for the horizontal addition. It's 176 for the deck expansion and stairs, 36 for the lower stairs and landing, 30 for the refuse shed, and 288 for the rear shed.
Okay.
And we've designed this in a way that, for example, or how I've calculated this, for example, is the lower stair landing. We don't have to do that in an impervious fashion, but until we kind of get into the final detail design of it, I am trying to present what would be the worst case scenario for that landing and stairs.
Right, I understand.
Yep.
And you probably, and I see the mitigation is down here too on the lower left-hand
Yeah.
corner.
And David,
920.
the text outlines what mitigation is being done in proportion to the rules we have for no build and no disturb zone.
I did see
impact.
that,
So
Steve. I was just looking for the total square footage. It was a little unclear in the
right, no, that's on
in
the
the
plan, you're
dialogue.
right. Okay, so these questions are well answered in the text and the plan.
And in
Any
terms
other
of
questions?
mitigation area, and we have a calculation we're designing to meet, but we're also proposing to move these mitigation areas as close to the brook as makes sense here to kind of help with the intent of the Wetlands Protection Act and the regulations.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're
Excellent
putting
idea.
mitigation to protect the brook.
All right, to
Yeah.
do some filtration of runoff and whatnot, makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
So shall we pick a time and date for a site visit? I know we've gotten ourselves in the habit of doing Saturday morning visits. And you think that will work, commissioners, this Saturday, and then we'll check with the
Works for
applicant?
me.
Works for me. Yep.
I won't be able to be there.
It works.
Yeah, and I won't either, but I think
I
if we can get
Yeah.
3 pairs of eyes on it, that'll be good.
Gordon,
folks who
the
can,
8:30 work?
Sure.
8:30, going once, going twice?
Okay.
That's fine.
Okay,
Is
Um,
Henry around?
I think Henry will still be on vacation on Saturday, but we'll notify him and find out. So that would be 8:30, Saturday, July 26th, I think. And anything you can do to put stakes or other kind of flagging and mark the trees, put ribbons on the trees would help.
Okay. Will do.
Great. Well, then let me move that with the applicant's consent, we defer consideration of this till our next meeting, which is
August 12th.
Thank you, August 12th. And schedule a site visit for Saturday, July 26th. Is there a second?
Second,
Thank you. All those in favor? Jeffrey,
Aye.
Olga,
aye.
Gordon,
Aye.
David,
Aye.
Jim,
Aye.
and I am an aye. It's unanimous. Thank you, Nick.
Thank you, commissioners.
It's helpful. We'll see you on Saturday. Our next NOI is for the Reed Park expansion of floats and pilings. And that is Mass DEP file 39. Again, I don't, Bethany, can you give it to us?
Yes, this was, they assigned after I did the agenda, but it's 039-0938.
Great. 39-0938, map 16, lot 36. The address is 0 Reed Park, Manchester. The town is proposing expansion of the existing float dock system at Reed Park. And that would be work, most of which would occur within land under the ocean, land containing shellfish, and land subject to coastal storm flowage. Who's here? Nate, are you here tonight to
Yep, I'm
brief
here.
us?
Got a few things
Great.
tonight.
Welcome. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone.
All
So we're here with Foth Engineering, who is our harbor consultant, to present on the Reed Park float expansion. We are proposing to expand the floats by approximately 750 feet, hugging the shoreline as it goes down the kind of the wastewater treatment plant property towards the harbor bridge, and then an L jutting out into the harbor. We have gone through planning board and have a planning board approval. We are, obviously have submitted our NOI now, and we'll be concurrently submitting to Chapter 91. So with that, I'll let Jeremy and Foth take it away.
Thanks, Nate. Jeremy Packard with Foth Infrastructure here on behalf of the town of Manchester by the Sea for the proposed expansion of the floating docks at Reed Park. So I am going to share my screen. Screen 2. I've just got the site plan up here. I'll talk through it a little bit, and then I've got a couple other screens we can jump to. So as Nate had mentioned, this is a proposed expansion of the existing floating docks at Reed Park. The total length is about 750, like he had mentioned. The expansion itself is about 540 feet here from the end of the existing floats. It extends about 430 feet southeasterly along the shoreline before taking this 90-degree turn that Nate had mentioned. It extends another 140 feet there into the harbor. It does stop, I guess that would be northeast of the railroad bridge channel. There's about 30 feet of clearance there. We had worked with the harbor master. This is a harbor master project as well. But we had worked with him to make sure that that was sufficient clearance from that channel there. So the project goals include increasing the recreational space on the waterfront for the public and the boating community, while maximizing the available water sheet within the inner harbor. And that was the reason for the somewhat irregular configuration of these floats here. Really what we're trying to do is push these as far landward as possible while maintaining minimum water depth. We have some water depth clearances that we have to abide by, both for regulatory and grant purposes, and I'll get to that in a minute. The proposed floats are 8 feet wide, and these are timber floats constructed by the harbor master and his team, as all the other floats in the harbors all the other floats in the harbor are. The floats have a proposed utility service, 3 utility services on them: electric, water, and a sewer pump out way out here at the end. There are a total of, so in regards to the utilities, there are a total of 5 electric and water service pedestals proposed and spaced evenly along the docks. You can see the symbol shown here. There are also bubblers proposed, and these are, we're looking to permit these in the event that the floats do stay in place year round. And that's to, we're able to turn those on and avoid any ice damage to the floats if the harbor does happen to freeze in, which I know does happen periodically. The water service is already provided to the top of the gangway here. Talking utilities, I'll jump to the utility plan. Water service is already provided through Reed Park to the top of the gangway here, and then extends down with a hose for water service on the floats. So we're looking to kind of formalize that and extend this water service down along the new proposed floats that we have here. The electric and the sewer pump out both do not exist on the floats currently. So we're proposing to connect into both utilities up on Beach Street here via a utility trench, 6 foot wide, 5.5 foot deep utility trench through Reed Park. This utility trench is sited to avoid, it basically splits the difference. It stays outside of the path, kind of follows the path alignment, but it splits the difference between the 2 large trees that exist in the park currently. And another, I guess, lead in that I'll speak to earlier, but this project has undergone planning board review. And the reason I bring that up now is because these trees were a big point of discussion during those planning board review meetings. I think we might have went to 5 total. And the determination on those was that we were able to move forward with the trenching with the tree warden, the town tree warden on site during the work. And the condition is that the town tree warden is able to call independent certified arborist at any point during the work at his discretion, at their discretion, to, if he feels that there are any impacts with this trench that may cause damage to the health of the trees. Right, so that's already a condition in place with the planning board decision. And so just wanted to kind of give you the background on that. So back to the floats. So the proposed placement of the floats, like I said earlier, it underwent a pretty rigorous alternatives analysis, just trying to site these. I mean, naturally, we would have rather just come straight off here and just keep it a straight alignment the whole time. You can see the contours that we show here with the bathymetry that we collected to start the project. And we do have some shoals up in this section of the floats here, right where it connects to the existing. And so this angle that I come off of the existing here is really just to maintain the water depth. A regulatory water depth typically requires 18-inch minimum with no shellfish suitability area. And DMF looks for 30 inches if you are in a shellfish suitability area. So we were trying to get as close to that as possible while still keeping, the operations and maneuverability to a reasonable place. And this is kind of the balancing act that we ended up with. Basically, the first 75 feet of these floats have a minimum clearance of 24 inches, of 2 feet, right? So we're 6 inches shy of the 30-inch minimum requested by DMF due to being in shellfish suitability area, but we are still greater than the 18-inch minimum typically required by Chapter 91 waterways. The DMF letter received requests that if we aren't able to provide the 30-inch minimum offset, that float stops be installed on the bottom, skids on the bottom of the floats, essentially. I would propose that skids on the bottom of the floats would cause more impacts to shellfish suitability because you'd actually be in contact with the mud line. Whereas as we have these sited now, at all times during mean low or low water, we do have the 24 inches of clearance to the mud line. So floats on a short section here, we're going to have issues, with the connections tying into the existing floats that do not have float stops. The existing floats at Reed Park, as well as, basically the floats on either side won't have float stops. There's a bit of a operational and accessibility challenge there. And again, I would argue that the skids would cause more impacts to shellfish suitability being in contact. The other interesting point of the location of the floats is that due to grant funding, the grant funding in place requires that at least 50% of the floats have a water depth of 6 feet, a minimum water depth of 6 feet at all tides. So at mean low or low water, we are showing this 284 feet from this location here out to the end. We're able to achieve that 6 foot minimum water depth at mean low or low water. And that's just for accessibility of larger recreational vessels. If they do come to enjoy the facilities here, then they would have places to berth on the outer stretches of the proposed floats. A total so these are pile supported timber floats, no mooring balls or or anything that would come into contact with the mud line. We propose a total of 23 Greenheart timber piles, so not treated, untreated timber piles. And these are all along the landward side, the back side of these floats here. And that's to maintain as much space on the floats as possible where users are expected to tie up. In terms of the location of the proposed piles, we have cited these. There is an existing sewer outfall that extends out into the harbor from the wastewater treatment plant. The exact location of that outfall pipe is unknown. We have located it here. We have this location here shown based off of record plans. Those are not as-built plans. Those were design construction plans. We don't have as-built for it. And then this location here was shown based on some visual observations we made at the site. So it lies somewhere in between here. And our plan there is to include a provision for the contractor being required to locate those that outfall, the exact location of it. They can send a tracer down it, include that in the cost of the construction contract to get the exact location of that pipe. And then the pile locations are able to be kind of moved slightly one way or the other if necessary, just to avoid any impacts to that pipe. When the contractor locates it, we would also ask that a vibration monitoring program be implemented during construction, just to make sure there are no impacts to that outfall with the vibration of the piles being installed. Which is a good segue to talk about how the piles are installed. They are expected to be installed from a barge. The majority of this work is all barge work out in the water, so not much for landside impacts. And the piles will be vibrated in with no jetting or anything that would cause substantial turbidity or impacts to the mudline. The work proposed on this project includes impacts, both temporary and permanent impacts to land under ocean, land subject to coastal storm flowage, and about 10 square feet of impacts to shellfish suitability area with the proposed piles. The project is currently under review, obviously, by the Conservation Commission. We are also submitting a Mass DEP and Army Corps permit very shortly. The project underwent review by MEPA. The certificate was issued for the project in July of 2024, and it has also undergone planning board review. And that decision was received in October of 2024 of last year.
Good.
So that's what I've got. I open it to questions.
Excellent. Thank you. Questions from the commission, please.
Have questions, Steve?
Go ahead, Jeff.
In your discussion of the issue of the clearance of the float from the silted bottom and the requirements of habitat suitable for shellfish, do you know what issues came up around that in the construction of the original docking, that seems to
I
come
see what
right
you're
up to
getting
the
at.
area
Why,
you're
yeah,
talking
why
about.
was, I'm sorry, I don't mean to cut you off, but I had that same thought. Why are the original ones there and what was the decision there? I don't have the background on it. My only thought is that it was either decided to be acceptable or it has since silted in with prop wash.
Ah. Okay.
Nate, do you happen to have any background on that?
I don't. I came in after that project was going to construction, so I don't remember the background on, why we were allowed to do that in the shallower area. I was just looking through my files to see if I have anything on it.
And Brian's not on this call.
Yes, I am. Yep,
Hi,
my
Brian.
camera's, hi there, my camera's not working, but I am here.
No, you're working. That's good. That's what we like. Do you know anything about that?
Yeah, if I remember correctly, the main reason was because these floats are in part of what was the original dredge area. This is underneath the floats directly have been dredged traditionally in the past.
Right.
And would be when this area gets dredged again, this wasn't done as part of the 1718 project. But presumably, just like the Manchester Marine and Inner Harbor dredging projects of 1718, the pilings would come out, and the area would be dredged. Then obviously there would be more than adequate depth underneath. But I believe that historical dredging underneath the area where the floats are located was the rationale.
Okay, so that raises a very important question, which is, what's the proposed timeline for that phase of the dredging?
Right, so I can only tell you what that would be for me. So the current dredging project, which is the channel area 5 Proctor Cove and as far as Norton's Point, is scheduled for construction in starting October of 26. And I would recommend that, just as with the last dredge project, the town immediately start the next, since it needs to be done. It has to be done. And the third round of dredging in the 20 or so year period would include this part of the harbor that wasn't done, the inner harbor around the town docks, which wasn't done, and then some cleanup along the edge of the groin or rock wall that you see protruding out of the water along the marsh on the south side of Area 3 across from Manchester Marine.
Okay.
So I would say, given the timeline of these other projects, probably 2034, 35 would be the timing.
So 10 years out.
Yeah, yeah.
And that necessitates, I'm going to use a little bit of harsh language here, ripping this whole thing out, dredging, and putting it back.
Well, so it's actually pretty straightforward. These floats every one of these floats could be removed in less than half a day. The pilings, if you observe the Inner Harbor in the Manchester Marine portion of the dredging project, the crane that does the dredging with their GPS at the top of the crane pulls the piling out, lays it on the deck. And then once the digging is done, quite literally the pilings went right back in the same holes they came out of. It was quite a sight to see.
That'd be something that I want to see. So, okay, I was concerned about the impact on this on the dredging process, and also why this issue of being too close to the shellfish beds was not an issue on the original document.
Good questions. I'm going to recognize Tony Barletta, our new town administrator. Welcome, Tony.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just wanted to, and to the members of the commission, I just wanted to join you tonight to introduce myself. Look forward to working with all of you. Thank you for all you do for the town. And obviously, I'm here in support of Nate Bion and our engineering firm who's proposing this project.
This is a perfect opportunity in this particular presentation to say welcome aboard.
Yes, well done.
Yeah, and don't lose your balance, right? David, David, I think you were next to raise hand.
Okay, my question is quick. Would these visiting docks, would these be for visiting vehicle vessels? Maybe Brian can answer this, or would these be for permitted vessels from town?
Brian can definitely answer this. I will, on his behalf, they are for transient vessels.
I thought so. So how are we going to ensure that deep draft vessels don't tie up in the shallow area whereby they might interfere with the shellfish, or they might interfere with the sewer pipe?
Sure. So that would be actively managed by Bion and his team, right? They're really active down in this inner harbor, you know, helping out boaters as they come in, helping out the commercial fishing fleet. And you know, so any larger vessel coming into this harbor would likely radio in, ask where they could tie up, and they would point them in the right direction into the deeper water.
And Brian, is that our policy, or do people just come in and tie up as they feel free?
No, we have staff on scene. We do require overnighters to book in advance whenever possible. Not that that's necessary, but when we see the reservation for an overnight vessel, that does dictate where we would put them. We also actively turn vessels away that draw too much. If it's too deep draft a vessel for the spot, then we have to decline their visit. That happens every year, has happened every year, and it's just part of the process of actively managing this facility.
Gotcha. Okay. Gordon, you're next.
I think actually Jim had his hand up before me.
Oh, I'm sorry. Jim, go ahead.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Gordon. So I'm curious about whether this expansion leads to new uses, because you do mention, you know, enhancing the commercial fishermen. I don't know if there's other commerce contemplated, and what I'm focused on is whether increases in noise or lighting or length of lighting is addressed, or whether we're going to, this is just a slightly bigger version of what we have, because lighting and noise would impact potentially wildlife habitat.
So Jim, that was actually a large part of the discussion with the planning board. And the planning board did put in a restriction on the lighting. So the power posts that we have, which are dark skies, light shining down, it was felt that those are probably still too much light. And there's a requirement that we use a product that is actually screwed into the deck. It's at foot level with small LED bulbs that shine directly down the half an inch onto the deck. It does provide some safety, but it isn't the absolute minimum of lighting that you would need on the dock for that safety. As far as noise goes, we have had 2 noise complaints since 2019 when we opened this facility, And dare I say it, both times it was a resident boater and not a visiting boater. Um, it is something that we are in communication with the police department about. They are hugely helpful and ready to step in to deal with any noise issues just as they are elsewhere. But it just honestly, so far, it has not been a challenge.
So and the harbor master has the ability to change the rules and have noise or lights shut off at 11 or whatever he feels is appropriate.
Whatever the town feels is appropriate.
Whatever the
Yes.
town. Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
Thanks.
Nice. Go ahead, Gordon.
Two questions, if I can. You mentioned the tree issue with the trench, and that the arborist would have the ability to, or the town tree warden would have the ability to call in an arborist. Is there any possibility that work gets stopped because of that? And are there contingency plans that we should be aware of if the trench can't go in that location?
So I think,
oh, God, Nate.
so I think we would move to an air spade, trying to get around any major roots. I think trying to split the difference between the two large trees, we're hopeful that at that extent away from the trees, we're dealing with much smaller roots, and the root system wouldn't impact our utilities at that point.
Okay. But you wouldn't consider like rerouting it along the front of the park or something like that if you can't get it through there?
I think that would be just as dicey, and just not a great, path to where we need to tie into on either system.
Okay.
Yeah, it's something I think that would be worst case scenario if we had to try to do that.
Okay.
I think
yeah, go ahead.
I'm sorry. I think I would add to that the canopy actually overhangs closer to the water than it does to the central part of the park, and that canopy is really dictating the root structure. So that trenching is, I think the trenching was placed very much with that in mind. So,
All right,
if that's helpful.
That is helpful. Thank you. And then just a follow up to David's question about the larger vessels, is signage on the docks something that would be possible or helpful in that situation, just in case
so
no one was available?
So we have a length restriction of 60 feet. We will not accept vessels longer than 60 feet. Draft would be dictated. The way we do it in Manchester is through a product called Docwa. I don't know if you're familiar, but it's
so
an
it's
app.
not as though people are just washing up here, docking.
Correct. No.
Okay.
To make an overnight reservation, come in here and stay, you have to make a request that we have to approve.
Okay.
Before you come in. So every vessel is vetted before it arrives. And there's always this discussion with the staff about placement of the vessels. And they just, the young people do a stupendous job of that.
Okay. And are there ever situations that are not overnight stays in which, something would
we have
cracks, or does it all go through that same application?
It's all through the app. We accept zero cash. And as a matter of fact, the day boats that come in for an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, it's first come, first serve. They can't book in advance. And if they show up, if we feel there's an issue, we can turn them away.
Okay. Thank you.
I do want to add one comment to the utility. So obviously the water, doesn't necessarily need to go in a straight line. We can, dive it, move it left to right, up, down, to avoid, any, if we do encounter roots that we don't want to disturb. And because we are going with a force main on the sewer portion, it doesn't have to be an exactly straight line with perfect pitch going from, the edge of the pump out station at the top of the dock down to the street. Like the water, we do have a little bit of flexibility with kind of moving it around and avoiding objects. So that does give us a little more flexibility.
That's helpful. Thank you.
Right. Can I ask a follow-up? I hesitate to beat this tree issue any further because I know you spent a lot of time with planning board on it, but I wonder, was the possibility of putting these utilities underwater, bringing them up where there are no trees against the retaining wall on Summer Street? Was that considered? Is it too expensive?
Yeah, that would be pretty cost prohibitive.
Okay.
And just difficult tie-in. Now we're into wall repair. Yeah, that would be a pretty significant effort.
Right. Right. My only other question is about, you mentioned the majority of the work would be done from the water side. What portions of the project need to be done from land?
The trenching and utilities.
Okay. So no work on the armored bank that's alongside the railroad right of way?
No, none proposed, no.
Excellent. Thank you. Any other questions from the commission? So any questions or comments from the public? If so, please raise your hand physically or digitally and I'll recognize you. Scan through here. I see no hands raised. Going once, twice.
There's
Oh, I
some,
see a hand.
there's
No,
some,
no, I do. DMN, would you identify yourself, name and address, and give us your question or concern?
Hi, Dean Nahadas, 48 Beach Street.
Welcome.
And hi. I first of all want to thank everyone for changing these plans from what they were last summer with the walkway scheme. I think this is an effort to mitigate some of those concerns, which is great. There are some remaining concerns, and the biggest one is, all of our residential brochures mention a picturesque harbor. And this whole harbor and park system is part of the City Beautiful movement that was applied to civic projects at the beginning of the century. That drawbridge is probably the oldest working version of a bridge by Johann Strauss, who also did the Golden Gate Bridge, but he did this one, and I'm sure it's eligible for the historic register. So I'm wondering, why are we congesting our picturesque harbor? Why are we systematically removing the residents from the harbor to put in this commercial operation? It just is a small harbor. 4 sewer mains leak. Can we come off from the drawbridge utilities? That's a lot shorter run than coming all the way along the docks and through the park. I think they have utilities at the drawbridge. Has anyone looked into that? But also the L shape for the sewer pump out is a concern because it's going to attract a lot of boaters to our small harbor, and it might make it hard to get in and out of, especially for the fishermen. I just don't know if everyone's thought about all these things. To put a sewer pump out station right in front of a nationally recognized bridge to congest a small quaint harbor, which all our real estate prices are tied to, because they all mention this. I'm looking at the pros versus the cons, and boy, why are we doing this?
Well said. Anybody want to respond to Mr. Nahadas?
I would be happy to.
Thanks. I'll recognize Brian.
So there's a lot of motivations. There were several motivations that got this project going. First, I'd like to say there are no resident boaters that are being displaced by this project at all. Not one. The very fact of the first 250 feet were at the behest of residents and boaters who came to the harbor office and said, we're frustrated. We have 3 floats. We can't use our own docks. We're overwhelmed. The fishermen's facility is overwhelmed by all of the traffic that comes in, the rafting across the harbor. And I will tell you, in 2012, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, and 18, this was the hardest part of the harbor to manage until the Sand Dollar Cove became a thing. So when we put in this 250 feet and staffed this dock, it completely changed this character of the inner harbor. The fishermen suddenly were able to come in on a weekend and unload their catch, load their bait, operate. We've made the harbor much safer to navigate in by putting in bow and stern moorings. All of the fishing boats in this area are bow and stern. They don't swing. We have not had any navigational issues in here at all. We've also done a lot of work along the channel further out to eliminate navigational hazards that had existed. One of the motives for this facility is to all these boats that have been coming here traditionally and using your town facilities that you maintain and you pay for that you couldn't use, those boaters are now contributing. They're contributing to the harbor department budget. They are certainly contributing in a large way to the businesses in Manchester, significantly so. You only have to go in the restaurants and ask any of the stores. This expansion, which will be targeted, the expansion is targeted largely towards the overnight boaters. The original 250 feet from 19 will be used largely for the day visitors. So we don't have that challenge of space for the folks coming for dinner. And I also anticipate that this facility will finance the cost of your harbor so that there absolutely will be no need going forward to ask taxpayers to fund any part of managing your harbor. Harbors are expensive. Costs a lot of money to maintain and keep up a harbor. And this facility can do things like pay for a bond for dredging. We don't have to ask the taxpayers to help fund the harbor. We can let the harbor fund itself. And with staff and managed properly and appropriately, which we've done so far, this facility is a benefit and boon to the town. And I will say that your park, Reed Park, has more visitors now than it ever had before this facility went in. There are picnic tables down there now. There are more benches. And that's to accommodate the greater number of people who are coming down to see the activity on the waterfront, the commercial folks, the beautiful vessels that visit here. So I feel that the list of positives is quite long and only benefit the town.
Ian, this is Tony, can you also speak
Sure.
to the funding source for this project?
Sure. So the original 250 feet we funded through a U.S. Fish and Wildlife big grant. They paid for 73% of the cost. The 500-foot expansion that's proposed here is funded 50% through a U.S. Fish and Wildlife grant and 50% through a Seaport Economic Council grant. This facility is not costing the boaters or the taxpayers a dime.
So I think that's an important element to the question that was raised, is that this is a project that is not costing the town any dollars. and it provides for a funding source or a revenue source that the majority of, I'm sure, will be supported by non-residents visiting the town. So always, whenever a town, whenever we can find an opportunity like that, where we can, bring in money from non-residents to help pay for, the assets that we have here in town, it's an extreme benefit. And then tie that into the benefit that it provides the downtown area and the businesses there. It's extremely supportive.
Thank you, Tony. Mark, you had a comment?
Yes,
You need to unmute,
I
please.
just wanted to say during the planning board public hearings, there were several of the commercial fishermen and business owners who were supportive of this entire project. So seeing it as a benefit to the downtown as well as to boaters and the commercial fishermen as well. So just want to put that out there.
Thank you for that reminder. Good. Any other questions or comments? So is the commission ready to vote on this, or would you like to take a closer look?
Could I respond to any of those comments?
Briefly, yes.
Yes.
Go ahead,
Yep.
Mr. Nunes.
I'm gonna throw out a couple of things. The existing dock space now is out of proportion with the size of the harbor. You see this huge vacant space now most of the week. The only time it's congested is when we're already slammed at Singing Beach. So it's only going to exacerbate that problem. That crosswalk at the tracks is in a very dangerous location, and increased traffic is going to be a huge concern for any residents who have to routinely drive through there. The prospect of an open air hotel with power and light with no overnight supervision is very daunting. This area is a fishbowl, and you can hear all, the light. You like to look out at the stars, you can't, there's too much glare. So these are some of the costs that I'm seeing. The force mains leak, the pollution, the congestion, the funds, the grants should be used to fix Tux Point. The rotunda should be a priority over this. I'm not sure who calls that shot, but that's my count, and I'll stop right there. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for that contribution to the record. We get your position clearly. Let me repeat my question. The commission ready to vote, or would you like to take a closer look at any aspect of this? Say a site visit is a little more requires a little more calculation in this case than usual, but might be useful. What do you think?
I'm ready.
Say again,
to
Bethany?
close.
Olga's ready to close.
I'm ready to close.
I'd be
All
okay
right.
to vote. Yep.
All right, then let me hear a motion, please.
I'll move that we close on 0 Reed Park, Mass DEP 0390938.
All right, is there a second?
And
Seconded by David. All those in favor? David,
aye.
Gordon,
Aye.
Jeff,
Aye.
Olga,
Aye.
Jim,
Aye.
and I'll be an aye as well. So it is 5 in favor and none opposed. Thank you, Nate.
Thank you.
Brian, Mr. Nahadas, and consultants.
Have a good night. Thank you.
We'll move to our third new notice of intent, which is at 18-20 Butler Avenue, Mass DEP file 39-936, map 1, lot 43. The applicant is 20 Butler Realty Trust, and this is proposed replacement and upgrade of an existing septic system, mostly within the 100-foot buffer zone. And who is here tonight. Mr. Judd, are you here?
I am. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Great to
Members
see
of
you.
the commission, for the record, John Judd, engineer with Gateway Consultants. I did put up the plan on the screen. I'm not sure if that's visible
can see it.
to. Okay, that's great. Thank you. Some of you may recall that this is a project where the homeowner would like to do an addition behind their garage, which is a detached garage on the property. In the process of, and this project did come before this board and was approved for a negative determination of applicability for this addition here behind the garage, as it was largely over a concrete slab that may come back to some of your memories. The resource area is for the most part off of the property. The 30-foot no disturb is this line here, and then the 50-foot no build is here. In the process of the building permit process, the applicant was required to do an inspection on the system, the septic system, and it did not pass an inspection. Subsequent to that, a design was prepared with soil testing witnessed by the Board of Health, and we have a state-of-the-art system that is proposed here as far away from the wetlands as we could be, and this would serve with no extra bedrooms proposed to serve the two structures. And this plan has been approved by the Health Department, the Board of Health, and it incorporates advanced treatment of 3-compartment advanced treatment septic tank and a pump chamber here with a pressure distribution leaching field here. So it's going to be a much more effective system in treating effluent than what exists now. Obviously a failed system, and you have concentrated pits here, which really has no value in terms of on-site wastewater treatment. So we have a state-of-the-art system, erosion control around all proposed work here. For the most part, we're outside the 50-foot with this exception of this area right here. And again, this is the extent of the project, is to replace the existing system with a new state-of-the-art system. And I can answer any questions you might have at this time. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Judd. Questions from the commission?
I have a question. Mr. Judd, besides being state-of-the-art, or maybe you could explain in layman's terms, how is this going to work better than the old system?
Okay, should I answer that, Mr. Chairman, or should I wait for
Yes,
other
please.
comments? Okay,
No,
so
go right ahead.
right now, we have a discharge from the rear building and the front building here that all go into a tank here, and then they go into shallow
John, can I
concentrated.
interrupt you for a second, please?
Sure.
Could you blow that up a little bit on the screen so that we can
Yep.
see it better? I'm trying to look at it on my plans and I can't keep up with your cursor.
Right.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right. So hopefully that helps a little bit.
That's much better.
Okay, thank you. So we have, and I'm going to try to bring this down a little bit here just to incorporate the house. Okay. So we have an existing outfall from the house here, and then another outfall, a sewer pipe that comes out of the garage in this location, goes into a tank, and then it goes into a series of pits that are much more concentrated here. In terms of, you can see the size of this area here, and this is all from the record plan at the Board of Health of what's in there now. This is the former system here, and you can see there's a much smaller area here that is in the groundwater table now. This is what we call the soil absorption system, this hatch line here. What we're going to be doing and that has no pretreatment other than the standard septic tank, which is here. What we're doing is putting it into a new, and I'll show you a section view of that in a second. This is a 3-compartment tank, primary settling here, aeration here, and then a filtering compartment here. So we have much more advanced treatment. This system here aerates 30 minutes on, 30 minutes off every hour, 24/7. And what that does is it allows for the oxygen and the good bacteria to digest the bad bacteria. And then we have the treated effluent coming into the pump chamber here, dosing chamber. From here, it goes into a manifold system, piping system here, where this entire leaching field is periodically dosed. And we have much more of a lateral distribution of the effluent. And this is well above the groundwater table, and it meets the vertical setback. Whereas right now, this leach field is quite a bit lower. You can see the proposed grade here is 18. This is 15 here. So this is all in the groundwater table and during seasonal high water season. This is even in the wettest times, we're at least 3 feet above the water table here. So that is, a brief description. I can show you, if you'd like, a section detail of the actual tank, but it may be of some interest to some and not to others.
Does that answer your question well enough?
And that's a very good explanation. Thank you very much. I'm not sure I'm interested in all aspects of this. However, I think you did satisfy my curiosity as to why this would be a much better system.
Okay. Thank you. Here's a section view. If you have any questions on that, let me know, of the tank, the primary tank.
Nice. Okay, so when finished, this will be essentially an elevated grade compared to what's there today, and there'll be a boulder wall on the eastern and northern side. Is that correct?
That's correct, Mr. Chairman.
Gotcha. And the corner of the leaching field and wall will be in the 30-foot no disturb zone, but primarily the
50-foot.
rest will be in the 50-foot. Primarily the rest will be in the outer buffer zone.
Correct. Yeah, we tried to get it as far away from the wetland as possible.
Yep, we appreciate that. If there are no other questions from the commission, let me ask the public, any questions or comments, concerns about 18-20 Butler Avenue? I am not seeing any. Commission ready to vote on this?
Yes.
Yes.
All right, let me move then that we close the hearing on 18-20 Butler Avenue, DEP number 39-936. Is there a second?
Second.
Jim, there we go. All those in favor, Jim?
Aye.
Jeff?
Aye.
Gordon?
Aye.
David?
Aye.
Olga?
Hi.
And I am an aye, 6 in favor, none opposed. Thank you, John.
I thank you all very much. Have a great evening.
Well, before we move on to the request for certificate of compliance, let me ask Bethany, are you prepared to show us drafts of special and perpetual conditions, either on this one, 18-20 Butler, or on the previous one, 0 Reed Park?
Because I spoke to you and Henry, I wasn't prepared for the 0 Reed Park, but I am for the 18 and 20 Butler.
Okay, so I recommend we ask the applicant to town in this case for a license to do our order of conditions at the next meeting, which is 21 days hence, and see what we can do with 18-20. Do you want to share the screen and show us what special and perpetual conditions
Steve,
you're recommending?
Steve,
Yes, sir.
before we move to that, I've reached my fade point for the night, and I'm sorry I'm going to have to pass for the rest of the meeting. And I'm going to adjourn my screen.
Good. We appreciate the
better.
time we've had with you. Feel better.
Bye.
Thank you,
Good to
Jeff.
see you.
Good to see you all.
We'll just have to ask the town for a request for a waiver. Sorry about that. No big deal.
Okay.
About 0 Reed Park. But I have 18 and 20-20 Butler all set for y'all today.
Oh my goodness, the whole
The
shooting
whole
match.
thing, yes, yes.
Okay, well, we're going to assume that you got the first 20 pages correct
Yeah.
and move to the special
Hold
and
on, I'm
perpetual
scrolling.
conditions.
All your names. Here we are. So here's the special conditions page. It's in the buffer zone, and this is the name of the plan. It's a pro septic system replacement. Private water supply. So we're scrolling to the special conditions. I think I'm gonna remove or strike out the mitigation plantings. I don't remember seeing mitigation plantings on the plan.
Nope, there are none.
No. So. I just strike them out because it's easier.
Yeah.
For numbering purposes. Jim, if you have any questions while we're doing this, because I know this is your first time seeing us do it.
I think it might be worth retaining the condition about a major storm event, just changing the language from coastal bank to wetland resource, BPW.
Yeah. Just give me a second, please. Just hold on.
No, I sympathize.
Yeah, Adobe's very picky.
Adobe is bulky.
I know. Yeah, coastal
Hold
thing.
on.
Okay, into the coastal plain, into the bordering vegetated.
BPW.
Yeah.
It also says coastal bank in the beginning of the second line there.
Oh, sorry about that.
Perfect.
Okay. Does anyone want to add a special condition? Do they feel like they need to add to 18-20 Butler Ave?
I do not.
No,
Any perpetual conditions?
Mainly the ones we always do. I subtracted like the ones that are like the same thing over and over. Upon the sale of the property. Obviously, the fertilizers and the de-icing chemicals.
Fine. I think that will do it for me. Any other suggestions from commissioners?
nope, all set.
Thank you, Bethany.
No problem.
Yeah, preparation. So let me move, we issue an order of conditions for 18-20 Butler Avenue, DEP file 39-936 with the special and perpetual conditions that we have just approved. Is there a second?
Second.
I see a hand up, and I should tell you that this part of our deliberations is not subject to public comment.
Okay, sorry.
Now that we've closed the hearing. So all those in favor? David?
Aye.
Gordon?
Aye.
Jim?
Aye.
Olga?
Aye.
And I am an aye. That's 5 in favor, none opposed. Thanks again to Mr. Judd for your typical excellent work.
Thank you very much. Have a great night.
You too. So now we move to 2 orders of condition for hearings that we have previously closed.
Yeah.
And these are for Mass DEP file 39-934 and 932. 934 is map 28 lot 30, and that's Central Street The project involves removing the tide gate, replacing the existing culvert with a 20-foot wide arch culvert, and some minimal roadway repairs. And this is all taking place within riverfront, coastal resource area, land under the ocean, coastal beaches, coastal banks, and land subject to coastal storm flowage. The second, 39-932, same address, is the town proposing.
Nate.
Sorry, Bethany?
Yeah. I'm sorry.
At any-
Continue.
At any rate, the second one is municipal project proposed to repair and replace a retaining wall and construct a living shoreline within riverfront area, coastal resource area, land under the ocean, coastal banks, coastal beaches, and land subject to coastal storm flowage in the so-called fire pond. Let's start with the first one, the culvert, 39-934. And Bethany, can you take us through the latest version of the conditions on this project?
Yes, this is like a working draft because I was a little confused with like the request, but I do have like a draft like that can be
Okay, and I
edited
noticed
as we go along.
gratefully that Nate, you've
Just give
remained
me a
on the
second.
line here. So I'm gonna
Yes,
allow
I
you
was
to,
like, Nate.
as a
Yep.
as a public official here, to comment on
Yep.
the need for these
Yes.
conditions.
I was checking if Nate was here.
Yep. So we had
Yes.
gone through and reviewed the.
So the culvert one first.
Yep.
Yes, culvert first. Go ahead, Nate.
Yeah, so we had gone through, as we were preparing the new NOIs and just reviewed the existing order of condition or the previous special conditions that were placed on the project. So we had Ty and Bond, Rick Canavan, who presented the projects previously, weigh in with just general comments going over, and then Chuck and I also reviewed and provided some comments. I think our general basis for the comments are, given the locale of the project, meeting the 100-foot buffer for some of these activities is pretty difficult. Could be, very costly to the town to implement some of these and have the contractor follow them, and could be disruptive to, the abutters, and just a general kind of nuisance. And, with the confined area that we're working in, especially once we go for a full shutdown, moving equipment around could be pretty difficult and just impact a lot of the area. And then just also, we think, some of the conditions can potentially increase the length of time that, we're going to be under construction for, and we're just looking to try to minimize. And I'm not, we're not saying, I think there are alternates, not necessarily removing them, but amending them to maybe containment type approaches for, say the 100-foot buffer conditions. But I don't know if we want to go through each one, and I can provide specific commentary to each. I guess.
I think it would be helpful to go through the areas that are significantly changed from the prior, the 2020 order of conditions.
Okay.
Want to put that back up?
I'm trying to do a side by side. Just give me a second, please.
Okay.
The old and the new. Just my Wi-Fi isn't the best, so just a second, please.
So I have the first pulled up. The first one we identified on the bridge was number 23. It said applicant shall provide engineering plans for diverting water from work area, and these plans shall come before the Conservation Commission for review and discussion at a public meeting. So in the narrative that we provided, we kind of gave the process of how project submittals are reviewed on a project of this nature. We want to keep the liability with the contractor. If the town starts dictating means and methods, we are accepting liability. If the measures that we propose fail, the town is liable. We would be, the contractor would be coming after the town for any damages. Whereas if it's a contractor designed system, they are liable. So basically, how that process goes, the contractor hires a consulting engineer, like any of the ones that come before you tonight. They have their professional engineers develop a plan. This one specifically is for the diversion of water through the project site. So that's going to include the cofferdams and any bypass pumping or pipes systems to move the water, the natural flowing river through the project site and out to the ocean. So our consultant, Ty & Bond, has listed a 2 sheets worth of performance specifications. Those are located on sheets 504 and 505. So we kind of have, when consultants write, specifications, there's 2 types. There's performance specs that set goals or minimum requirements that the contractor and of the system has to meet, and prescriptive, where we say it has to be X, it has to be Y. But even within that, there is, per mass bidding laws, you have to have or equals. So if we says it has to be product X, there has to be 2 others that meet that. So with this type of, dewatering system, we want to place all the liability on the contractor. So by having them hire a consultant that is a professional engineer that does this, that is their business, design the system, they stamp it to meet those performance specifications. That submittal gets sent to our consultant and the town. We have hired Ty & Bond to review that submittal. So their engineers will review it, document any deficiencies, send it back for, review by their consultant, by the contractor. They have to amend it. And then once it's an approved submittal, the contractor can move forward. So we also have to do that within a specific period of time. So within the overall contract, we provide 20 days for submittal review, which, is a pretty short time, but that also confines it for the contractor, because the contractor, especially for this project, we're likely going to be putting in performance bonuses if they can complete the work within a specific amount of time. So when they're putting their schedule together and when they're working with engineers and consultants, they need to know that, the submittal that they send in is going to be reviewed in a timely manner. The consultant can't sit on it for 60 days because then, the contractor is, shifts all of their schedule. So that's a very big part of it. So I think
you're essentially arguing that the independent peer review step will provide adequate
exactly that we can certainly we can certainly provide it. When the contractor sends it in, they would send it to the consultant. They'll send it to me and Chuck. No issue sending that along to Bethany. She can provide concurrent comments. I think we would just want to take that review, not have that as a public review by the commission.
For myself and other commissioners should speak up here, I think that's perfectly adequate, and I would endorse a CC of the peer review report to Bethany.
Yeah.
Okay.
Any other comments from the commission?
Makes sense to me.
Yeah, I think that makes sense.
So I have one for Nate. Nate, I mean, we're assuming that we have an ethical, honest, and liquid contractor. But we all know of incidences in the past where the town's depended on a contractor and they weren't able to complete the project successfully. And we didn't have much recourse. Are these projects do contractors carry insurance to complete the job? They do. And is that part of our requirement?
Yeah. So so these are all bid by Mass General Law. Mass General Law for Chapter 3039M projects require for this value requires 100% performance and payment bonds, in addition to any insurance requirements that the town. So we typically Like our general is a 5 million umbrella with $1 million occurrences for liability and damages, along with other like pollution prevention. So there's a litany of insurance policies that the contractor is required to carry. Another, I think, measure that's really important for this project, given the scope and the magnitude of it, you know, all the constraints and then just the dollar value. We're really into a kind of level of contractor that's not, going by their bootstraps. This is going to be a professional organization. They are going to be DOT pre-qualified. So we are part of the specification is that they have to have DOT qualifications, that DOT, they could bid on a DOT project. So DOT goes through and does vetting on any contractor for various price ranges of work and type of work. So we will specify that the contractor has to be DOT qualified for a, call it a $7 million project, culvert project that has coastal and, inland water issues. So we are trying to make the quals as rigorous as possible, within reason, to make sure we get a well-qualified contractor, because, the things that could go wrong on this project with an unqualified contractor are pretty significant, from an environmental, from a time standpoint, from just every direction. There's constraints. So it's in all of
That's
our best
great.
interests.
That's reassuring. Thank you. That's well stated.
Can I
Thank you,
say
David.
that this version, it won't let me share the split screen, but this, all the edits that Nate has redlined are represented on the newer one. This is just the redline version, so you can see what has been changed. It just won't let me split and share the screen.
That's all right. Let's go on to 27 then.
Yeah, I think this was more of just a phrasing that there won't necessarily be erosion control within some of the specific limits of work, I guess. I'm fine leaving it if
Yep.
I'm fine with it. I'm not one of my major concern ones.
Any heartburn from the commission for this 27? Let's go to the meatier ones then of 29, 30, 33, 34, 35.
Yeah, so I think, given the nature of the work and how congested the site is, trying to move equipment, especially the size of the equipment that they're potentially going to have on site to efficiently perform the work. I think it could be quite, they're either going to have to truck it in and out each day, which is going to be very costly, be very noisy for the neighbors, would be even more congestion depending on what side, if we're in the full shutdown, coming down, if it's on the Elm Street side of the work, backing down Central Street, that's just not going to be conducive, and the same on the opposite side. I think we can go more with a containment option if you wanted to, require that they, put a spill kit, around, put coir logs around the equipment at the end of each day. I think I would be fine with that. Just trying to, be a little more practical in how the work is going to be performed, and given all the constraints and trying to do it in a as efficient and as quickly as possible for everyone's benefit.
Yeah, I get it. Again, personally, I have no objection to that, provided we have a schedule of regular or irregular inspection.
Yeah.
To make sure that you know, the intent of this obviously was to minimize the risk of spill that impacted the resource. And
Yep,
that can
yep,
be done, as you
absolutely.
say, with careful containment and management of debris and
Yep.
equipment. What do others think on the commission here?
Yeah, I mean, I
That
think,
makes good sense to me.
yeah, and fuel spills are my concern there. So if we can add some language about making sure equipment is protected every evening and that there's adequate spill protection on site.
And I'm sure we have a spill kit requirement in these conditions, but
Yeah.
What's
And
the
it
length
bears-
of
bears
the
repeat.
length of the construction project?
So we're anticipating probably about 8 months or so. It's kind of hard to pin down at this point. We're expecting a full shutdown of Central Street, you know, to remove the culvert and put the new one in, anywhere from a few months up to 6 months. The lead time on the concrete arches is about 10 months. So it's kind of going to be one of those projects where you might see them out, especially early on, doing preparatory work, doing exploration work, to design, so they can get the necessary information to design their, you know, dewatering systems, their supportive excavation, and then you might not really see them on site much at all while they're doing all their submittals, getting the necessary approvals, and then you know, once they go, and especially if we're putting performance bonuses in, you know, they could hit it, you know, pretty hard. So we're trying to navigate, you know, what is an enticing incentive, but not overly, to try to speed up the work as much as possible.
Gordon, if I could, in condition 28, there is the mention of the spill kit.
Okay.
Spill containment kit.
Mm-hmm. Great, thank you.
And I like the idea of designating areas and having a second set of erosion control to protect the areas where you're storing fuel, conducting refueling, and storing equipment overnight. Is that a reasonable request for this project, Nate?
Yeah, I think that would be fine. I think much better than having to move the equipment and stockpiles out.
Okay.
Would it be acceptable to keep the condition 29 about fuel storage remaining outside of the resource area?
Yeah, fuel storage, most of the companies use, you know, fueling services. So it's you know, it's like getting a propane delivery. They come in, fuel them up and
On
leave.
demand.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I would honestly wouldn't expect them to be storing fuel on site.
Okay. We could keep the condition in that, and it won't,
Yeah.
in terms of storage, and it won't impact them.
Yeah.
Good. So just for the record, that would mean that 29 would be retained as is.
Although we would maybe
30.
cross out refueling operations, just so
Yeah.
that they can
Okay.
refuel it with the equipment there, but we're not
Yeah.
going to store fuel.
Yeah. So like if they,
Storage.
on the off chance, if they use diesel pumps for their dewatering system, you know, those are going to certainly be in the buffer. Those aren't moving. I would hope they're not using diesel pumps, but it might be like a backup situation to, you know, electric pumps.
Mhm.
So yeah, that'd be one instance where, you know, you couldn't move the equipment.
And for 30, 33, and 34, the equipment and the stockpiling and excavating materials would be contained in identified sites with additional erosion control adequate to the purpose.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Good.
So
What's next?
Erosion and spill control. Yeah.
Correct.
Okay.
Hold on, I'm just typing it out. I'm writing the other one.
Okay.
Hold
Well,
on.
I was going to encourage you to use the recording for this one, but better to have belt and suspenders and
I'm
one hand on.
trying to do it all. Okay. Here's the other things Nate has wanted to speak about.
This is a post-production as-built plan standard. Yeah, those sound not relevant to this project.
Yeah.
Good. Next.
Yep, I think that's it on the bridge.
Yeah. Let me just share like the working document. Hold on. Just give me a second, please. So I can get the appropriate language that you wanted for the erosion control. Just give me a second. Here we are. For some reason, my screen is very frozen. It's fine. Can you all see this?
No.
Yes, now we can.
Okay. So we were here keeping 29, and then heavy equipment will be stored in
Well,
up.
29 only in respect to equipment fuel storage. So you'd strike
Okay.
and refueling and lubrication operations.
I'll just delete.
Yeah.
Yep.
There.
Thank you.
Stored shall be stored and contained. Okay. An additional erosion control, erosion and spill kit measures.
Containment area, yeah.
Nate, did you have language for that? What that would be called? Some kind of a boom or like a spill control
Yeah.
sock or something. What is
Well, the kit is not totally described in 28, but that's the language. Size to accommodate the total volume of fluids in the largest piece of equipment present. Appropriately trained personnel present and have access. So heavy equipment shall be stored and contained in a designated area with additional erosion and spill kit control.
Yeah.
Yeah. I can't like spell right now, sorry.
Yep.
Yep.
And then I think you can repeat that language for 33, any excavated equipment any excavated materials resulting from the work shall be stored and contained in a designated area with additional erosion and spill kit control.
Hold on, sorry about that. And 30.
Doing fine.
Is there anything else? Or seeing?
Did you catch the earlier
Yes.
change on 23?
Yes, I did.
Good, okay. Then let me move, we issue an order of conditions on 0 Central Street, is that what this is?
I call it the Central Street culvert.
Okay, Mass DEP file 39-934, Central Street east of Elm Street for the tide gate. All those in favor? All those in favor, and Jim, you are not able to vote on this one. Gordon?
Aye.
David,
Aye.
Olga,
Aye.
and I am an aye. That is 4, and it is passed. Let's move to 39-932, which is the retaining wall repair and replacement and construction of a living shoreline for the pond. See if we can
I'm pulling it
get
up,
through.
Mr. Chair.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
It's the markup version, so Nate can share his thoughts and
Yep.
just
I
hold
think
on.
it's
let me-
This
in general, I
largely
think
parallel.
it's, yeah, largely parallel. I think there are some more specific ones relating to the living shoreline and monitoring requirements.
Mhm.
You say see attached discussion.
Yep, and I think that was the Word file that we had sent. So just Rick had provided just some revised verbiage for that, specifically. I think since the original submission, we had refined those details on the living shoreline side, so they're much more robust in what we're doing in those areas and how the work has to be performed.
Good, and we'll see those in the other version that will show us in a moment.
Yep.
Good.
Mika,
Yeah, so that was 12C. 12D was the same comment, regarding the dewatering submittal as before. Yeah, I think a lot of these further ones are more dealing with monitoring, and how we want to handle that as a town, being a town project versus, a homeowner applicant, and just how we, handle those into the future, because those certainly going to have to be programmed into either DPW or the Concom budget. So I think who would be best, to provide that for the town, I guess, is kind of the bigger picture. Because ultimately, the town owns it. It's not
Right.
DPW, it's not Concom.
Bethany, I confess, I'm just completely dizzy. Where are we?
oh sorry. I'm trying to reorient myself. I'm just trying to open everything as fast as you guys speak.
Okay, so have we looked at all of the red line sections of
No, let
932?
me. Nate, if you want to explain more of where were we? We were.
Yep, so I had,
We were at 12.
Yep, 12 and 12D. So I think that was just the cofferdam's kind of the same
Yes.
comment as before. Having a review by our consultant. He had a couple just minor notes in item 14 to revise from 85% survivorship to 85% coverage. And I think that just deals with, it's much easier to calculate and observe survey coverage area versus survivorship. And that's how I guess he is typically seen, monitoring in other
good, that's helpful.
Municipals. Yeah, so then I think it just gets into, how we as a town want to handle these monitoring plans going forward. Whether we want to have that handled by the DPW, and ultimately I think we would have to hire a consultant to perform these duties if you want to keep it within the conservation, to oversee these areas in perpetuity. Whereas
My
it's not
suspicion is we
as
would probably hire the same consultant that DPW would.
right. Yeah, I think ultimately it's getting done by a consultant. So to some degree, I guess, how do we want to, do we want to keep them in, or do we just want to add it to our, our programming, so to speak?
With all due respect, Nate, for TPW, I would feel better about this being the supervision, maintenance, et cetera, to be under the Concom jurisdiction.
Yeah, no offense taken.
Sense.
Yeah,
I
no,
suspect they'll appreciate us taking the workload. As I said, it's probably going to be the same or similar expert who goes out and gives
yeah,
us
and
a
I mean,
report
maybe there's an
annually.
opportunity for like the stream team or other committees, to get involved in, supporting those efforts.
Mm-hmm. That's a good idea.
We're just going to have to make ourselves a large sticky note not to forget this when the project finally reaches
Yeah,
completion.
yeah.
Good. What else?
Well, I get a question about that, Nate. So if you were gonna use
Tag.
If you were gonna use a consultant, where would those funds come out of? And if the conservation is gonna use a consultant, where would those funds come out of to do the monitoring? Usually
Right.
the applicant's required to take care of that and then submit reports to the commission, and then they will do an inspection when it's time for the certificate of compliance at the end.
Right. So I think that's something we would have to, given it's an ongoing thing, I think we would want to program that into our maintenance budget. So I don't
Right.
think, if we have to do that, we're detracting, if we keep the existing budget and add this in, we're detracting from somewhere else. So I feel like it's something that we need to, it would need to be added to either DPW's budget or the com budget, I guess, is my opinion on how that needs to be handled,
Nate,
going
can you
forward.
clarify
So
these
it wouldn't
conditions
come out
are,
of the project funds?
We have some monitoring under the grants, but I mean, if the bids come in, more than our, we're not planning to fund or carry funding, for that through the capital. I think that would go to a maintenance line that's carried every year.
So one of the two departments would have to put in a budget if it's come in higher. Okay.
Right.
All right,
Well,
so
I think
either way, it would-
just in general, because I think, we're going to expend the capital budget on it. So yeah, I
Right.
think either way, we would need to fund that via a maintenance and add it to either DPW's or the commission's, Concom's budget.
Okay.
Good point, Mark. Thank you.
Mhm.
Anything else redlined? Obviously the same refueling, storage
Changes.
of
Yeah.
materials.
Bethany, you can take the same language we had in the other one and apply it over here offline. Okay.
Sounds right to me. Yeah, there they are.
Yeah. Okay.
Yep.
Anything else, Bethany?
Yeah, I guess we had a note for condition 23. So I think that just goes to the overall long-term monitoring. This one was more specific to invasives, I think. Or no, sorry. Which one was that?
Where are you, Nate?
Oh, sorry, I'm just misreading.
Okay.
Let's jump back down to
Yeah.
38 or whatever that was.
I think it's like down in the perpetual.
41.
41.
40.
Maintaining the bank restoration.
This is a tricky area.
Yes, because everything slumps and changes over time, as David
Right.
well knows from his own
Yes.
backyard.
Yes. And there's no
Although
time
the idea of the living
limitations.
shoreline is that we might avoid some of that inevitable destruction of our attempts to hold back nature.
I doubt it, not with the height of the wall that we're rebuilding.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
well,
mean,
certainly
I
gonna have
think
a wall on the east side.
also, I think we would be in for, not just refiling with MCC, it would be all the other various
Yeah.
permits. So it's kind of a,
Yeah.
it's almost, it's a new project in and of itself at that point.
Yeah. This one also is generally covered under our blanket prohibition of any other major projects without filing either an RDA or an NOI with us. So unless there's something particular about the wall and the bank restoration we were trying to capture here, the wall is fairly conventional, but as David points out, it's never permanent. And the bank restoration is very novel for us.
Yeah.
I think for my money, I'm satisfied with the standard condition, which prohibits any major new work without consulting and properly filing with us.
So we could strike that. Is what you're suggesting?
I think so, yeah. Yeah. Anybody think otherwise? Something special about bank restoration in this case? Okay, let's go to the version we want to vote.
Okay.
If you can do that, Bethany.
Yes,
And
let me.
I guess the only other ones we have were 48 I had. I guess it's the ones that are surviving in perpetuity. I guess
okay.
we have the questions on of how, because the town is the applicant,
Right.
is that really? But
Let me bring it back up.
yeah,
Hold on. My Wi-Fi isn't the best. You had, I don't see any like markups on this. With 48, but
Only 16 is designated as perpetual.
Yeah.
What is that?
and that's the monitoring of invasives.
Right. You referred to before.
and he was saying like in his Word document, that would be like.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'd like to think you're perpetually vigilant about the arrival of new Phragmites, but the truth is it's asking a lot.
Yeah.
Too much.
Basically, his comment is monitoring of invasive species can be included as part of the living shoreline monitoring plan. We would generally recommend against the condition of perpetual invasive species management because in some cases, it might be counterproductive to keep managing if none of the control methods work. So
Understood.
Yeah.
So right now we have it a plan submitted for approval by the conservation administrator for 2 years of monitoring invasive species with details.
Yep.
And making that perpetual is it's unusual. You're right. Right. Have we done that to any private party applicant? I can't think of an example.
I mean, in theory, you could kind of roll that into a larger, if it's a concern for, this project, I think it would be a concern for all the way up Sawmill Brook. So is that get rolled into a larger, more comprehensive monitoring plan, townwide invasives monitoring plan? That's certainly something you could be considered for the future.
Yeah, we could conceivably roll it into the one we were discussing earlier for monitoring, where we thought we'd be using some combination of expert peer review or local talent with expertise, like Stream Team with some of their biologists.
Yep.
Or Salem Coast Watch, Salem Sound Coast Watch.
Salem
Yeah.
Sound.
Barbara Warren. I can't remember what number that is now. I'm completely befuddled about numbers here, but
38, Row 16.
so
Perpetual
we'd
commission.
roll 16 into the other one that said monitoring, which might have been 13 or something. So is this the version with the redlining, or is this the version we can
The
hope to vote on?
version that is like voted or potentially to be voted on, yes.
Okay, let's
I,
back up to
Yeah,
12 or 13.
shall we? I was a little bit more confused on
Uh-huh.
the
It is
comments for
confusing.
this one, to be honest, Nate, but we'll
Okay,
try.
stop.
Yes, I stopped.
So
me,
can we see all of 12?
Move up a little bit.
I think it's paused.
I'm
Well,
trying,
it's
it's frozen, just give it a second.
it might hit that little
It's
X
frozen.
because
My
yeah.
Wi-Fi's not the best. Yeah.
No, it's scanning or converting scanned.
Let's give it a second, please. Okay. Number 12. I use like the language that the Word document provided.
Okay.
This sounds fine to me. Others have any problems? How about 13? That's pre-construction, right? 14?
I did
Now
the
it says
growth
growth.
coverage.
Good.
I think I might have missed something. I'm not sure, but we'll see.
If you could just hold there for a sec,
Oh,
please.
sorry.
Hold on 14 and through 17, just a little further up. Stop. Thank you. Hold it until we say.
Okay.
Okay, it's the last sentence of 15 that we may want to change. Monitoring dynamic shoreline will be an ongoing condition for a minimum of 5 years. I think what we might want to say is Conservation Commission will monitor this dynamic living shoreline.
Okay. Just give me a second. It's very finicky. Adobe is at least.
Yeah, I might just generally recommend that we stick to Microsoft Word for these proceedings because we all know how to use it and it doesn't provide this kind of wacky interface.
If you prefer Bluebeam, you can get Bluebeam from Town IT.
Oh.
Okay. I would just strike everything after that.
Okay.
No, up to the word following.
Yeah.
So strike through 5 years.
Yes.
There you go.
Okay, well done.
That read all right? Conservation control monitoring shoreline following the issuance of a certificate of compliance. So it'll be up to us to define what that means when the 2 years and the certificate of compliance is complete. Now, is it possible to wrap 16 into that? Can you clear that dialog box? We can read 16.
Sorry.
Just click somewhere. Thank you. Well, I guess it reads fine as is. It does not impose monitoring past 2 years.
Yeah.
It's just no longer perpetual, I think.
Yeah.
Correct. And it's not explicitly a condition of the certificate of compliance.
But are you ready for me to scroll?
Please.
Okay. Sorry, my screen freezes sometimes, so it's hard to see.
All good so far,
Mm-hmm.
I think. Anybody shout out if you see something you want to dwell on?
Yes.
There's the spill kit. Good.
Mm-hmm. I was changing this actively when you guys were talking.
Yeah, those went by fast, but I think they're fine. They reflect what we did in 934, right? Yeah, good. So now we're into the 39C. Was that changed?
I don't remember.
Yes, we're going to eliminate 3 and 4 since they're irrelevant to this project.
Okay. I'll just strike that out so the numbering is not. Okay. There's our standard perpetual no additional alteration clause, Mm-hmm.
and therefore 41 is not required.
So strike out 41, you're saying?
I think so. Any objection?
Anyone?
I think it's covered with the one above it. So
Good. Okay.
Okay, let me move the text box. Hold on. Okay. And here's
I'm not
our,
sure. Yeah, I'm not sure we need lawn and garden maintenance or de-icing in this case. Or hazardous materials, 45. Or 46, because the project is explicitly in the no disturb zone, or
Yeah.
47.
or the fertilizer.
Right, no, none of that is pertinent.
Then I struck out the 40.
Good, all right.
Okay.
So let
that's
me
pretty
move,
much-
we issue an order of conditions for 39-0932 Central Street east of Elm Street Fire Pond with the special and revised conditions we just went over. Second?
second.
Yeah, I have a second. Thank you.
Second.
All those in favor, and we'll all vote on this except Jim. Olga,
Aye.
Gordon,
Aye.
David,
Aye.
and I am also an aye, so it is passed. The requisite 4 votes. Thank you, Nate. This was a bit of a struggle, but
We made it through.
educational. And
Yeah, no, thank you all.
Nate, I will hand deliver it to you Thursday.
Sounds good.
Okay. Now,
Thank you all.
you're quite welcome.
Yeah.
We
Sorry.
have a request for certificate of compliance, 2 of them related to the same property. 39 Coolidge Point, Martha and David Swift. First one is Mass DEP file 39799, and the second is 39-823. first one was landscaping improvements about 3 years ago, I think, and drainage to dry wells, and the second was more landscape improvement and relocation of a walkway, removal of some a tree or more as well. And I guess we were waiting, Bethany, for your review of these on
Yeah.
site.
I went today at 10. I believe Sean McDonald's here of Griffin Engineering. He was there on site, and Bob Griffin.
Excellent.
It was all very heavily like landscaped, all the growth was very like mature and grown in, and very, I try to send myself some pictures that I took, but very more mature growth along the landscape. I'm sure that Sean can speak more about this.
Good. Well, I'm not sure that's
Necessary.
essential here. Did we have a 2-year survivorship on the most recent project? That's my only concern.
I asked them about how old these plants were, and they say like 4 years.
Yeah, the earlier ones, I think, were fine. I'm not sure there were any.
I think most of it was
Yeah.
planted at one time. I think most of the plants were done in 2021. So
All right.
it's been 3 or 4 plus years now. So definitely the 2 growing seasons are, yeah.
Mhm.
And I think we had a letter from Tom McMullen, the landscape architect, who was also out there this morning, and he was very satisfied with the survivorship and the way everything has grown in over the past few years. So yeah, I think he was very pleased.
Yeah. The property is obviously beyond well cared for. It's very carefully maintained
Yes.
in our visits. So if the commission is satisfied, let me move first that we issue a complete certificate of compliance on the older one, Mass DEP file 39-799, map 3 lot 2739 Coolidge Point. Is there a second?
Second,
All those in favor? Gordon?
Aye.
Olga?
aye.
David?
Aye.
And I think unfortunately, Jim, can Jim vote on a certificate of compliance, having not? Yes,
It all
you
it all
certainly
looked
can.
good in the documentation.
Absolutely, you can vote. I just issued my own ruling to myself. Jim, what's your vote?
Aye.
Thank you. So I'm an aye, it's 5 in favor. Now to Mass DEP file 39-823, same address, same applicant, the more recent landscape improvements and invasive removals and grassy walkway. I'll move we issue a complete certificate of compliance for this one. Is there a second?
Second,
Thank you, Olga. All those in favor? Jim?
Aye.
David?
Aye.
Gordon?
Aye.
Olga?
aye.
And I'll make that unanimous.
I'll just note.
Thank you.
We've all been to this, many of us have been to this property recently, and a lot of this was shown to us at that time for their other applications, so we're pretty familiar with it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Thanks.
we've done our own due diligence.
Everyone,
And they do have a sport. Yeah,
um,
thank you.
my
Yes.
Zoom froze and crashed, but luckily I made Steve co-host, so he's host now. Sorry about that.
Great. Well, I apologize for sitting in a darkened room, but I'm in a Verbo and I don't know exactly where the lights are. But I can see you, even if I look somewhat ghostly. So that completes our NOIs, certificates of compliance, and orders of condition. So we move to old, new, and other business. I hope we can be brisk about. One of the issues here, and let's get to it because I see that people have waited around for it, is 7 Central Street. And if you're able to, Mark, I'd ask you to just bring us up to date on the status there.
So yeah, I spoke to the owner and I've been out to the site, met with the contractor as well. The dumpster has been removed from the site. They are using an off-site location, just like they used for the other project at School Street, where there was no place to at one School Street to leave a dumpster. So that wasn't a problem. They tidied up the site. There's still some pallets of lumber stored in the back, but that's all newly delivered material. There's no excavation or any other digging going on. And the erosion control along the top of the bank is in place and has been for quite a while. So that's the condition of the site. The owner said he will be filing for a notice of intent for the work, even though there's no exterior work outside of the footprint of the building. But Steve had indicated that you would prefer him to do so. So
Yeah, just because of the extent of the work, there's a lot of impact or potential impact to the buffer zone and the resource itself behind the building. You can't do a project like that without a lot of trucks, a lot of material, a lot of laborers moving in and out of that space while the construction is underway, as you know. And there's always the risk, particularly in the extensive demo that was done, that some material will get deposited in the resource or buffer zone, which normally we would have conditioned to protect against, but we're going to have to rely on, in this case, the contractor's ability to anticipate this. It's still like an after the fact NOI promptly.
Well, this is the question was, is there anything in addition to what they've already done by removing the dumpster and not storing any loose materials in the back or demo or trash, as well as having the erosion control in place, which has
it's a very good question.
Is there something else you would like to have done? Because the owner would kind of ask that question, and I said, I think
for myself,
So
for myself, I would answer that I would like them to submit a work schedule each Monday morning to the conservation administrator. We didn't have a pre-construction meeting. We have no conditions on this site. We're operating blind. And I'd love to trust them, but the absence of any permitting and the fact that this is essentially a second offense on the same site by the same people leads me to say we should be very diligent in this case. So the work schedule should describe what materials are being delivered, where they're going to be stored, any work that's going to take place outside, whether it's just carpentry or metal work or joining or anything that's going to be demoed until we have an approved order of conditions in front of us. I mean, this is basically just an unpermitted project. Refrain from putting any more
without any OOCs.
And we have these rules for a reason, to protect these resources. Everybody else follows them. This is a second time for the same project by the same people, and I'm not inclined to cut any slack at all. Can anybody else think of anything that would be useful in place of or in addition to that kind of weekly update to the conservation administrator?
Weekly sounds a little excessive to me, Steve.
I think it's just until the NOI is approved, right?
Just until the NOI, until we have an order of conditions. The order of conditions allows the administrator to come in there and inspect to see if the conditions are being met anytime. Actually, it allows any of us to do that. Right now, it's kind of dicey walking back there. We're trespassing effectively. And in the absence of an enforcement order, which we've been talked out of here by cooperation from the contractor, we have no standing, so to speak. So I'm just trying to figure out what would substitute for the absence of the normal procedures we'd have for a project of this scope and scale, this close to a resource.
So if there's nothing else, I think I can certainly get them to agree to do that. Right now, they're still waiting on, if you notice, they haven't done a lot of work in the last week or two. They're waiting on approval of a sprinkler system that
Yep.
has to be designed. So they're waiting for that before they can proceed as well. So so once they have the the building commissioner lets them proceed again, I will talk to them and have them submit that. That's a pretty simple thing to do, because most of the rest of the preliminary work that needs to get done is mostly framing. So it'll be a short list, but it'll probably and then be something along those lines. So
It'll keep them on their toes at least.
yeah, that's a reasonable request. So
So, Mark,
we
one of
have
the
a-
reasons.
Is
Go ahead,
there a scope and scale at this point?
I was just going to ask, one of the reasons we did not see this on our radar is that nothing came from the building department to tell us that a permit was being pulled for work of this scope and scale.
mhm.
Now, did that mean that they were late or haven't pulled a permit? Or does it mean that there was a breakdown in our internal process?
So I believe they haven't received the full building permit. They were authorized to do certain amount of work initially. So that's why they have to wait to proceed. So they were given a permit to do a certain amount of demo and reconstruction. I guess one of the issues requests was for them to complete the facade work for the 4th of July parade. So that was why you see the front looking very nice while the back's opened up and the rest of the building.
Well, that's that's laudatory.
So
we certainly wouldn't have held them up in any
Mhm.
respect. It's work that needs to be done, and it's
Right.
not a complicated. It's not, in wetlands terms, it's not a complicated project.
Well, I think also the extent of the work once they got into the building was more than anticipated. So
Can I say something real quick? The
Go ahead.
project has been we have a building portal called OpenGov. It's where I go to like approve things that have came before the commission or not in our area. It's been it's been there for 2 months, the 7 Central, and I did write them a note which gets emailed to them. Please come to me to know next steps for the Conservation Commission. And I've not received an email since, and that was 2 months ago.
Okay. And to whom did you send? Was it to the contractor, the builder?
The applicant I have to look on OpenGov, but to the applicant who submitted the building permit, so probably the contractor.
Gotcha. Okay. Anybody else want to comment on this, or can we just leave it where it is?
Let's leave it.
All right. Other new or old
sorry,
business?
just to confirm, Mark, you said they are going to submit an NOI?
yes, they will.
Okay, thank you.
We have on the list here Sweeney Park discussion and discussion of CPC funding for Western Woods. I hesitate to take a lot of time on these because we're running quite long right now, but Sweeney Park, Bethany or Mark, can you give us an update, if any?
Yes. Yeah. So we have,
Donate.
we're going to do a quick update on, covering all the bases tonight. So we have Weston and Sampson, Jessica Lee and Brandon Kunkel, Weston and Sampson, the consulting engineers. I just want to do a quick presentation running through kind of our findings, where we're at with the project, and really next steps. And we, wanted to come to you before to just get kind of buy-in before we do our NOI, just in, if it's a non-starter, you know, don't want to waste our time. But I know, Steve, you've done the site walk. Olga, you're obviously familiar being on the Parks and Rec committee. So just want to give the rest of the committee kind of the broad overview of the project. You know, we had initially set out at turf fields, but I won't get into it. I'll let Jessica
Great.
and Brandon
we applaud
dive
this
right
kind
in.
of early warning is always very valuable. So please go ahead, Jessica and Brandon.
I'll let, given the time constraints, I'll let Jessica take the lead. I'll be here to help answer any master plan related questions or the history of the project, so on and so forth. So Jessica, take it away.
Okay, I will try to share my screen. I guess you don't have
Please.
to
Enable that. It should be enabled. Yeah.
Yep, it is.
just see yourselves initially. Okay, so everybody see that first page?
Yes.
Okay,
Yep.
great. So, just to run through this quickly, I think you probably all know where Sweeney Park is. Essentially, they're located on this watershed that does flow down along Causeway Brook down to the ocean. In general, the topography, there's some topography adjacent to the site, but as it's extremely low lying and wet. You can see the modeled pattern on the fields there. Couple images here just of the intermittent stream of this stream, perennial stream in the bank. The access a point across over here where folks get to the pickleball courts. So our folks, our environmental team went out and mapped the wetland soils, and this light green line is the result. And it's, it's daunting. Some of the existing field and parking lot are already actually in a wetland condition. So to understand really those soil conditions, we do a lot of test pits and soil testing to really understand what is going on below grade, and geotech as well. But with these soil test pits, you're just seeing 4 of them here. It's basically there's kind of a line going across like this, 1, 2, 7, and 4. But what you see with the soil is this, they call it gley color. It's glayy, it's sort of gray. That means it's like fully saturated all the time. There's no oxygen getting to it. It's wet. It's a wetland soil. So we were finding wetland soils all over the place. And back when the town of Manchester did their park master planning, what you were finding was that based on the total annual hours of permitted use, Manchester definitely has a shortage of like rectangular multi-use fields, that's exacerbated by this poor drainage and insufficient maintenance. So we went through, initially, I think the idea was to do an artificial turf field, but with those wetland soils, the approach, it has been determined to be natural is the best approach. A natural turf field would require under drainage to make it work. But we looked at 3 different options. The couple of these, see, this is basically this line here, this is labeled as tree line. That's like the existing limit of disturbance. And our approach has been, because we're already dealing with these wetland soils and all of these required setbacks that we have to consider, that we are going to stay within that limit of disturbance and not go beyond it. So with these options, this one was not chosen because of the orientation of this new softball field, but it also maintains the parking extending in there and actually pushes the limit of disturbance in the wetland area a bit too high. This option 2 is actually the one that ended up moving forward, and option 3 was just the rectangular field, no additional ball field. But so what we find in that option 2, which becoming the proposed site plan here, that this area of impacted wetland is in red. That's the corner, basically, in the edge of the softball field. Again, this is all of this beyond this black line is existing disturbance to the wetland. But this wetland impact of 5,340 feet is here. And additionally, within our area of disturbance currently, there's area for replication of this vegetated wetland up in the means of close to 15,000 square feet. So we have more than enough to deal with mitigation or anything like that. So in looking at the impact on the bordering vegetated wetlands, the proposed project is the anticipated impact is about 5,340 square feet. So that would be a permanent impact on these bordering vegetated wetlands. And that's the area we were just looking at, of the corner of the softball field and the parking. And it's all, again, all of that permanent impact is currently used as an athletic field or parking, and it will remain athletic field, but with a permanently disturbed with that under drainage in order for it to function properly. But this will allow the field to be used throughout the season, throughout its full season. So again, as I mentioned, in anticipation of these impacts, we looked at areas where we could potentially replicate, and we are well beyond the area we would need to replicate for this site, and actually leaving us with close to 10,000 square feet potentially for mitigation of other locations. The other topic of concern with all of those setbacks is the riverfront area. There's actually 0 square feet of linear feet of alteration on any of the intermittent stream or perennial stream banks, because that's something to just avoid in terms of the permitting process. But and so the total riverfront area on the site currently, again, that's basically from the top of bank to a 200-foot setback. The total existing on this Sweeney site is over 355,000. So what is allowed is only up to 10% of that can be degraded. And we currently there's 34,000 square feet degraded, meaning we have only 1,300 left to get up to that 10%. And we're right on that edge. Essentially, our current impact is looking, we're right on that edge. But so right now, the design would not require any additional restoration or mitigation as far as the riverfront goes. But we're aware of the requirements, and we'll keep tracking the impacts as the design's finalized. So yeah, we're working to reduce any of these wetland impacts and improve the existing condition with sort of restorative planting and whatnot. But based on the current design, we anticipate that it's definitely the project will require an NOI, an Army Corps permit, the 401 water quality cert, MEPA review. So a lot, as you all know, obviously a lot of these permits occur consecutively, and the whole process could take 12 to 18 months, but we're working to try to avoid triggering as many of those as possible and limit the reviews and reduce that permitting timeline. But that's really it.
Really helpful. Thank you.
Jessica, could you just explain again where the water flows?
Where
out of the area?
I think it's sent down this way. Even on the first slide.
So
essentially the whole it's flowing towards
Up and
that
to the right.
Yeah, towards the stream and then down towards the bottom corner of the screen here. Under the purple line. We can go back to that first.
Jessica?
So you can see here, like the Causeway Brook. I mean, it's moving down in this direction. I don't know exactly how it gets through. I think some of it moves this way and comes down to the side. But the whole site is very wet. So
thanks.
Causeway Brook flows the other direction, Jessica.
Causeway Brook goes
this way.
Town. Yep.
Yeah,
What it is, but that
Yeah.
that whole conservation.
Yeah.
That back end goes down.
It's just a huge wetland that drains that way, the way where you were pointing.
Yeah. Some of it goes down the railroad track. It's
complicated.
Some this way and some this way. Yeah. What's going to be interesting is looking at the under drainage. There are collector pipes and like how to get that actually off of the site into the stormwater system. But
So
it is
your plan.
It's an approach
Your
we've
plan
had a
is
lot of success with.
Your plan is to reduce the water that's right now underneath Sweeney Park, particularly the southeast end of it, enough to have a year-round usable turf field. Where will the water go? How much needs to be moved? Do you need to adjust the grades to do that?
It's not the grades. We'll keep the top surface grade the same. It's really in a section. So you end up with a special mix of soil that drains down to a subsystem of of collector pipes that then go to larger collector pipes. So it's really in underground. It's a lot of money underground in the section of the fields. And it moves, the water goes into the field essentially and moves off into the system that's below grade. So it's not, if we tried to, I know folks were thinking, and we've heard it before, like make ditches or swales around the edge, essentially you'll end up with additional perennial streams on site, but it also won't necessarily flow off. You might just end up with all saturated soil. In the approach where you do under drainage, you actually can get the water to move down and then off site.
And when is the last time you've done a project of this scale for under drainage?
Oh, Brandon, we're doing them all the time. Yeah.
I mean, we're doing one now currently. It's about 19 to 25 acres, depending on the actual project area is 19. The total site is 25. So we do them quite a bit. This is actually pretty standard practice in the athletic field construction realm. The intent, we need to be able to maintain a certain amount of water at the root level in order for the grass to survive. But really what it is, it's the recovery after storms. Usually we say you can get people back onto the fields after 24 hours because within that soil profile that Jessica was mentioning, that's where we really have the volume or storage of water. It's a combination of drainage stone and collector pipes. We'll size the pipes accordingly to the amount of water we want to collect or move. And then, that's all centralized into, an offsite system.
Yeah, I get it.
Yeah.
Just order of magnitude, is this a $5 million project or a $10 million project or a $20 million project?
I'll let Nate handle that one. I mean,
so I think
know
we're in the 1 to 2 range right now, depending on the full scope that we go with. So that's part of it, is determining, do we want to add, bathrooms of some form, to the extent, we would have to do a force main, if we do permanent bathrooms, force main into the sewer, or we can try to, do a tight tank or some other means. The other big part of it is parking. I'm sure if anyone that's been there is, half the time the parking lot is flooded, it's a mud pit. So we'd be looking to
Frozen.
Yeah.
Am I frozen?
No, the parking lot becomes an ice rink.
Oh, yeah. No, exactly. So we'd be looking to improve the drainage in the parking lot, which would obviously tie into the field drainage, pave that, make it ADA, the entire park ADA accessible. So it's a little more encompassing, obviously, than just the improving the drainage on the field. So we're really just trying to get a handle on, what's everyone's appetite for. Is this a viable project to move forward? Is what we have proposed acceptable to the commission? Because, if it's not, it's I don't really know where we would go from here. We had initially wanted to expand, before we knew where the delineations were, we were looking to expand, to get a full-size field without any overlap on, the softball field and the Little League field. But once we saw the delineations, knew we were going to be confined to the existing site, that just kind of rolling with the punches right now.
Gotcha. Any other questions or comments?
I have a comment that we shouldn't forget, even though it has nothing to do with the major scope of this. We had talked about this at the open space, the Weems Reservation at the southwest corner. We want to make sure that trailhead gets developed also.
Yep, certainly.
Good point. David?
I coached kids there for probably 20 years. It's a swamp in the outfield and beyond, well beyond. I just don't understand where the water's going to go that won't, that would be acceptable to the Concom or to the town. So that would have to be explained to me.
Yeah,
Clearly, I could vote for money going into this project.
Yeah, basically we're diverting it around the site, you know, so we're collecting it on site, would be infiltrating it and then discharging it using the existing outfalls, hopefully.
Yeah, I mean,
that we have.
putting aside the budget, which isn't, I don't think that the total scope of our review, I mean, it is kind of a truly degraded site now. So I think it's not like you're taking a wetlands and turning it into a ball field. It's kind of a pit that you're restoring to at least something where the water might flow and be usable.
If we believe it can be restored.
Yeah, that is the positive way to describe it, Jim. You got it.
And I just have a
Okay, well,
question with these under field drainage systems, how much of the neighboring wetlands do those tend to drain, or do they tend to work just with the stuff right on top of them? You know, is there a buffer zone outside of that we can expect to be impacted?
I mean, because we're not drastically changing the grades of the field, we would expect that the actual envelope of impact would be limited to just outside the field area. And then the way that these drains work, they're all gravity fed. So we just want to make sure that they're all pitching towards, you know, the wetlands, if that's where we want it to go, or towards the collector pipes, towards the drain system, if that's where we want it to go. So you're not actually pulling water away from the wetlands because they're already headed in that direction.
Thank you.
I was just trying to pull up this isn't this project, but just so you can understand how it works. We wouldn't have these containers below, but essentially, so there's a ridge down the center of the fields, and it's going off, the water's draining off in either direction down these collector pipes. Below grade, it's a very specific section with the type of soil here, the drainage stone that Banner was mentioning, and then that surrounds these the collector pipes along the side. So there's larger collector pipes along the side and a whole system below the fields that are of this smaller 2-inch or less. But again, it's, you know, its size and the actual section, the soil section is very specific to the site, that location.
We could use a topographical map would be useful, I think, because I think we're all wrestling with the fact that it seems like a bathtub. So where does it flow?
Right.
Yeah, that's good description. Well, I maybe I speak for everybody, but I'll say this anyway, and you can tell me. It's going to take some serious review because you're going to send the wall.
Oh, you froze.
Into our.
Oh.
I assume it's going to end up. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, I wonder, Steve, maybe you should shut your video off for a minute just to keep the
Okay,
bandwidth.
yeah, will do. I assume it's going to end up in the harbor. It's going to come down through our streams because I'm guessing you're not going to have the pitch to put it into the adjoining wetlands.
And I think the goal would be to
Okay.
get it into the stormwater
Copy.
system, actually.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Stormwater system goes into Sawmill and Causeway Brooks, goes into the harbor.
Really, right
and
directly into those.
Yep, that's maybe a good thing, maybe not. And I'm painfully aware that we have a deficit of playing fields now, and anything that endangered these and the future of Sweeney Park is anathema to sort of town recreational needs.
We definitely, with the stormwater exiting too, can treat the stormwater before it exits. It could be even in the pipes and things. It could be in the system that the water is being treated before it exits into the wetlands nearby. We have whole teams of stormwater engineers and things that work simultaneously with us as we're in the design group with the landscape architects, but we get to work directly with the stormwater engineers and all the soil scientists and environmental scientists that are the permit experts, so that it actually it does become believable when you have that level of expertise. But that is something, I think, just understanding the surrounding system and how they would actually connect. That was like the next, I've reached out to our stormwater folks and said, okay, when can you look at this or get a sense of it? But just one, it is, it's definitely a challenging site. All of those.
I have to ask a weird question here. This is probably for Nate. From time to time, there is a sudden and kind of dramatically increased flow down Causeway Brook. Almost as though, a beaver dam had been breached and a large impoundment was being emptied. It now strikes me, and I've never been able to figure out what it is. It's not on schedule, so you can't predict it. I think Olga may have seen it the last time it happened, but the stream team was all up in arms because they all play pickleball. So they were walking over the bridge while Causeway Brook was roaring underneath in the middle of a drought. And we were thinking, what's going on? Is it possible that there already is some kind of drainage system similar to this built by one of the estates upgrade of that?
I mean, I couldn't guess,
You don't
but
know, you don't
I
know of
would,
one.
not that I know of. I mean, I would, the sudden
Okay.
release, I would tend to think that's beavers, and we certainly have a lot of beavers out in that area.
Yeah.
They've been pretty
Yeah,
active
that was our first guess.
in all
Okay,
areas of
thanks.
town this year.
Thanks. That's enough irrelevant questions. All right. Well, thank you for the heads up. We'll take it as it comes from your next round.
All right.
All right.
Thank you all.
Thank you all.
Thank you. Bye.
The last
Have a
item
good
on
night.
our subject is how to use the CPC funding in the neighborhood of $20,000 in the Western Woods, because that was the primary designation of it. And some of us have begun rewalking some of the trailheads that are potentials for better access to the Western Woods, and in particular the unusual one on Pine Street just south of the 128 underpass. So if you're ever looking for a really good aerobic 10 minutes, park your car just before you go onto the underpass and find the trail that goes straight up that hill. I don't think mountain bikes can go up it. They go up the drainage swale in the runoff from 128, and then they ride along 128. But it leads to this large network of very nice trails that eventually dump back into the fire road off Crooked Lane. Olga and David and I walked it with a young woman who's a college student and wants to do some volunteer internship work this summer. We'll see if she can help us with the designation of some areas where we might spend that money on parking and signage and improved trailhead. It's not enough, obviously, to take on anything bigger like repair of the fire road or maintenance of the trail network. Anybody else have anything to add? David and Olga, you survived
I
that walk.
guess,
And
yes,
go
I
ahead.
did. I guess we'll see what she offers and go from there.
I sent her dozens of megabytes of prior reports because the thing has been studied by cats and a forester and the town and various task forces, all leading to the conclusion that Mark wrestles with all the time, which is we don't really know who owns all of the land the trails go across, and we have some private landowners who are resisting us, and access trailheads are challenging, at least because of private roads and private lands. So it's a beautiful 500 acres. A good 2/3 of it is already protected, but obviously it's way underutilized, partly because it's just hard to find how to get into it. Okay, anything else, Bethany, that we should take up before we adjourn?
All that's on the agenda is what I've got personally.
Okay. Anybody have a last call here, or can we ask Olga to make that?
Good
Motion.
work, everyone. I move that we adjourn.
Seconded.
Now, we have to see if Jim Hoffman is actually going to come back on August 12th after this one.
I'm gonna have dinner before the meeting.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good luck.
Very
You'll learn.
smart. All right,
This was a-
folks. I'm
was a record
very much
setting.
appreciate you all.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mark, Bethany. Good
Bye,
night.
everyone.
Impressive.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Bye.